Huh, what's this? Tucked among many books was a divorce paper with my husband's name already written on it. Below that was a marriage registration form. On the marriage form were my husband's name and another woman's name. Could it be that my husband had been preparing to divorce me? Moreover, does it mean he has a mistress and is seriously dating her? Confused, I took the two documents to my room. After my daughter had gone to bed, I showed the divorce and marriage forms, which had my husband's name on them, to my parents who were visiting our home. I found these in my husband's room. What should I do? My parents were shocked by the sudden revelation. However, after a while, my father said, "That's it, I have a good idea." With a sly grin, looking at my mother. My mother, seemingly convinced, smiled a similar scheming smile. It was the first time I saw such terrifying smiles on their usually calm faces, which was a bit scary. They explained a plan to me. Indeed, it was a good idea. It was the best plan for getting back at my husband. I readily agreed to my parents' suggestion. Then, I wrote my name on the divorce paper with a pen that was nearby. I never thought my parents' idea would be such an ingenious plan at that time. This is the story of the ultimate revenge, executed by me and my parents. I am Gina Manning. I work as an office clerk while taking care of my daughter Emma and Aaron. Emma is 6 years old, and Aaron is 4 years old. My husband, Fred, works in the sales department of the same company as me. I used to work as a full-time employee, but after getting married, I switched to a part-time position. Actually, the company we work for was founded by my father-in-law, who is now the president of the company. We live close to my in-laws, but our relationship with them is not strong. My father-in-law is busy with the company's management, and my mother-in-law seems uninterested in us. Therefore, my daughters are not very attached to their grandparents. While preparing dinner, I inadvertently sighed. "Mom, are you okay?" "Yes, I'm okay. Balancing work and housework, I am quite busy. In the morning, I send my daughter to kindergarten, work during the day, and after picking up my daughter from kindergarten in the evening, I prepare dinner and do other household chores. Just as I was about to resume my work, my phone rang. It was Fred. "Hello? I'll be late tonight because of overtime work. I'll eat out." "Got it. Good luck with your work. Dad's going to be late again today?" Emma stopped drawing and turned to me. "Yes, it seems he'll be late today because of work." "I see." Emma looked a bit downcast. Although Emma is a responsible eldest daughter, she might still want to be pampered. Every time I mention that Fred will be late, she seems to get more visibly upset. "Emma, Aaron, dinner's ready." "Okay. Okay." I placed 3 servings of pasta on the table. We said grace together and started eating dinner. Seeing Emma and Aaron happily stuffing their faces with the pasta, I breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the calendar, there's a red circle around tomorrow's date. The days marked with a red circle are when my mother comes to help with dropping off and picking up my daughter from kindergarten. My parents are gentle and often come to our house to help with childcare. Especially my mother, who understands me well and is very cooperative in taking care of my daughter. On days when I'm busy with work or when my daughter is not feeling well, it's truly a relief that my mother always takes care of her. "Grandma will come to pick you up tomorrow." "Really? Yay!" Aaron loves his grandparents. Usually, he cries when going to kindergarten, but on days when Grandma comes to pick him up, he heads to kindergarten excitedly. "Is Grandpa coming tomorrow?" "Not tomorrow, but he said we might go out somewhere on the weekend." "Where will we go?" "He hasn't decided yet, but do you have somewhere you want to go?" "Aaron wants to go to the zoo." "Got it, I'll let him know." My father adores Emma and Aaron. Although he is still working, on his days off, he almost always comes to visit and takes the 2 of them out to various places. Unlike my in-laws, my daughters are very close to my parents. This weekend, my parents came over. My father took the daughters to the zoo, and my mother helped me clean the house. After cleaning, I had coffee with my mother and we talked about recent events. How have things been with Fred lately? He hardly comes home because of overtime and business trips. Today, he said he's on a business trip and not at home. Fred hardly comes home, citing overtime work and business trips. I always wish he could learn from my parents. Doesn't he help with the housework? Impossible. With how busy he is, if he tried to help with the housework, he wouldn't last. Fred doesn't help with the housework. I think even a little help would reduce my burden. But since he seems busy, I find it hard to bring it up. But Gina, you're busy too, aren't you? You look a bit pale? Do I? My mother looked at me intently and nodded. She sees through everything, I thought, as I sipped my coffee. Why don't you ask Fred to help with the housework? If you collapse, it'll be tough on Emma and Aaron too. You're right, I'll try talking to him. After that, my father and daughter came back, and my parents left. Fred didn't come home in time for dinner. Emma looked downcast from time to time. After Emma and Aaron had gone to bed, Fred came home. I'm home. Welcome back. You must be tired from working late. Thanks. Fred immediately went to take a bath. Seeing his tired face made me hesitate to bring up the housework. But thinking it's better to talk sooner rather than later, I rubbed my sleepy eyes and waited for Fred to come out of the bath. Eventually, Fred came out of the bathroom. Huh? You're still up? Yeah. There's something I want to talk about. Something you want to talk about? I have work tomorrow, so can you make it quick? Understood. I quietly approached Fred while he was brushing his teeth. Actually, I was hoping you could help out a little with the housework. That's impossible. He refused flatly. As I was slightly puzzled, Fred continued speaking. I'm busy too. There's a lot of preparation for taking over my father's company. So, Gina, you need to handle the housework. But, couldn't you at least take out the trash before going to work? I've been having more business trips and overtime work lately. I don't have the time for that. Saying so, Fred put down his toothbrush and went up to the bedroom. I couldn't say anything back. I thought, this is impossible. From this conversation, it was clear that Fred had no intention of helping with the housework. I decided to give up on getting any housework help from Fred and went to bed. In the morning, as usual, I took Emma and Aaron to kindergarten. I was sleep deprived because I waited up for Fred last night. But I can't afford to be late for work. Rubbing my eyes, I headed to the office. After arriving at the office, I greeted my boss and colleagues and started my work. To avoid feeling sleepy, I faced my computer with a coffee bought from the office vending machine in hand. After a while, I heard the door open. Who could it be? I quietly looked towards the door. Then, my eyes met with my father-in-law's. Why is my father-in-law here? This company is fairly large, so the president, my father-in-law, hardly ever comes to the floor. Not just me, but my colleagues and boss were also shaken by his presence. Gina, do you have a moment to talk? Yes, I'm fine. I was led out of the room by my father-in-law and headed down the corridor. What could this be about? Could it be that Fred talked to his father about yesterday? Recently, Fred has been taking a lot of time off. Did you guys go on a family trip or something? Time off, you say? Yes, he's almost used up all his paid leave for the year. Is that so? I was about to tell my father-in-law about Fred coming home late, but stopped myself. I didn't want to unnecessarily worry my father-in-law, who is busy with running the company. It's a busy period right now, so if he takes any more leave, it'll impact the department's activities. I'll talk to him, but could you also speak to Fred? Understood. Fred has been saying he was busy with overtime and business trips. But in reality, he was using his vacation time. In other words, Fred has been lying to me. Is Fred hiding something? Thinking it's not good to jump to conclusions, I asked a colleague to check when Fred took his vacation days. After a while, my colleague showed me the attendance data for Fred. You're kidding. The days Fred said he was on business trips or working overtime were almost all marked as vacation days. However, I couldn't find detailed information about Fred's vacations. It's because we work in different departments. It was clear that Fred had been lying to me. Then, where was Fred going during his vacations? The word affair came to mind. Deciding to trust my intuition, I resolved to find out when Fred would take his next vacation. My coffee's run out. I headed to the vending machine in the company corridor to buy another coffee. Mrs. Manning. Long time no see. Mr. Johnson, my husband has been under your care. Mr. Johnson belongs to the same sales department as Fred. They have been good friends and often go out for drinks since before we were married. Perhaps I might be able to ask about Fred's next vacation. I can't miss this opportunity. Speaking of Fred, I heard he's been taking some time off recently. Yeah, he's been taking quite a bit of paid leave during this period. I'm quite envious. He's taking about 3 days off from Wednesday next week. He was grinning while applying for his leave. Is it a family trip? Well, I was a bit bewildered as Mr. Johnson proceeded with the conversation one-sidedly. In fact, I was told by Fred that he would be on a business trip next Wednesday. I decided to go along with the story for now. I'm looking forward to the souvenirs. Please tell Fred as well. Yes, I will. Mr. Johnson waved his hand lightly with a smile. I returned to my desk and resumed work. Now, I was certain that Fred was lying to me about what he was doing. After work, I contacted a detective agency. It was to request an investigation of Fred's actions. And then, on Wednesday, I was busy preparing Fred's belongings. I hardly had time to take care of my daughters, but it was a relief that Emma woke up early and prepared for kindergarten on her own. Well, I'm off. Take care. Don't forget to buy souvenirs. Ignoring Emma's voice, Fred closed the door of the house. I'll go wake up Aaron. Emma headed to Aaron's room as if nothing had happened. However, unable to forgive Fred for ignoring Emma, I stood frozen in front of the entrance for a while. Mom. Startled, I turned to Emma, who was pulling at the hem of my trousers. What happened all of a sudden? Aaron's face is all red. Like a strawberry. Worried, I headed to Aaron's room with Emma. Just as Emma said, Aaron's face was red, and he was coughing. Are you okay, Aaron? Cough. Mom, my throat hurts. I was surprised to see him struggling like this when he was fine until yesterday. I informed the kindergarten that Aaron was unwell. I needed to take Aaron to the hospital. But it's a busy period at work, and taking time off would inconvenience the company. My mother's face suddenly came to mind. I asked my mother to take care of Aaron and dropped Emma off at kindergarten. It's a busy period at work, and Aaron is unwell. I can't afford to take any time off at all. Meanwhile, Fred is happily traveling with his mistress. I can never forgive him. I swore to myself that I would definitely expose Fred's affair. After work, I went to pick up Emma from kindergarten. Glancing into the mailbox, I saw an envelope from the detective agency. Surely, it contains photos of Fred. I took it and entered the house with Emma. I'm home. Welcome back, Emma. Grandpa. I'm home. Not only was my mother there, but my father was too. I wondered why. Could he be off from work today? I heard Aaron was feeling unwell, so I came over as soon as I finished work. Emma, I bought some cookies, let's eat them together. Yes. I want to eat. Emma left her kindergarten bag and began eating sweets with her grandfather. Then, I heard from my mother that Aaron had a cold. She said it could be cured with medicine, which relieved me for the moment. After a while, as Emma and her grandfather began playing, it had already gotten dark outside. It was late, and because both my father and mother were worried about Aaron, they decided to stay over. Emma was delighted to have playmates after such a long time. "I'll make dinner, so Gina, you relax." "Yes, thank you." I took my mother's advice and lazily watched a news program on TV. When was the last time I zoned out like this? I opened the envelope and looked at the documents sent by the detective agency. The documents confirmed Fred was having an affair. There were also several photos of Fred spending time with his mistress. In the photos, Fred was walking through the downtown area arm in arm with the mistress and entering a hotel. The other woman appeared to be in her 20s. She had bright brown hair and was dressed in fashionable clothes. It was clear she was younger than me. Where had Fred met such a young woman? Although unclear, capturing this evidence was a significant gain. I put the photos back into the envelope and placed it on a high shelf in the bookcase. Dinner's ready, but where's Emma? That's true, where did Emma go? I had been so focused on the photos that I hadn't paid any attention to Emma. Since my father was also missing, they must be playing somewhere. I went to look for Emma and my father on the second floor. The door to Fred's room was the only one open. Peeking inside, I found Emma and my father playing with toys scattered around. "Emma, Dad, dinner's ready." "Okay." Emma put the toys down and stood up. That's when I suddenly remembered the homework assignment Emma had received from her kindergarten teacher. "By the way, Emma, did you finish the alphabet worksheet you got from kindergarten today?" "Oh, I forgot." "How many times have I told you to do your homework before playing?" "Sorry." Now, Gina, don't be too harsh." My father soothed Emma and took her to the living room to do her homework, while my mother and I decided to clean up the mess in Fred's room that Emma had made. Glancing at Fred's desk, I noticed it was also quite messy. Thinking this was a good opportunity to tidy up, I decided to clean the desk after putting away the toys. Huh, what's this? Tucked among many books was a divorce paper with Fred's name already written on it. Below that was a marriage registration form. On the marriage form were Fred's name and another woman's name. Could it be that Fred had been preparing to divorce me? Moreover, does it mean he has a mistress and is seriously dating her? This could be vital evidence to expose the affair, I thought, taking the two documents to my room. After Emma and Aaron had gone to bed, I showed the divorce and marriage forms, which had Fred's name on them, to my parents. They were shocked, but I also showed them the photos sent by the detective agency. Fred has been having an affair. Unforgivable, with Gina going through so much. But I'm torn about what to do with this divorce paper. Actually, I have a good idea. Father smirked and looked at my mother. My mother, seemingly convinced, smiled a similar scheming smile. Seeing my usually calm parents showing such a terrifying smile for the first time was a little scary. First, let's submit this divorce paper and marriage registration form. Is it really okay to do something like that on our own? It's fine. All the places Fred needed to sign are already filled out. You just need to write your name. Although my mother spoke in a calm tone, what she proposed was quite shocking. The difference between her expression and her words made me shiver a little. And I'll go and pay them a visit. A visit. My parents explained a certain plan to me. Indeed, it was a good idea. It was the best plan to get back at Fred. I readily agreed to my parents' suggestion. Immediately, I wrote my name on the divorce paper with a pen that was nearby. The next day, my mother and I submitted the divorce and marriage registration forms to the city hall. I was really looking forward to Fred coming back. While Fred was away, I busied myself with tidying up the house. On the Friday that Fred was supposed to return, I put the kids to bed and waited for Fred's return with my parents, stretching my neck in anticipation. I'm home. Huh, why are father and mother here? Welcome back, Fred. Please have a seat for now. Fred sat down in a nearby chair, bewildered. He couldn't meet my father's eyes, his gaze darting everywhere. Fred, about the divorce and marriage registration forms found in your room, I've submitted them. What? What do you mean? Your name was already on them, so I thought it'd be best to submit them. Of course, I wrote my name on the divorce paper before submitting it. Don't mess around. How could you submit it without asking? Fred started yelling as if he had turned into a different person. He had been trembling in front of my parents until just a moment ago, but now he seemed not to care about that at all. The one who should be saying, "Don't mess around," is us. My father raised his voice, though it remained low. Fred looked at him, his eyes wide. You've been having an affair, haven't you? We know everything. I haven't had an affair. Fred stuttered and shook his head. My mother reached for an envelope on the edge of the desk. We have proof. Saying so, my mother scattered the photos sent by the detective agency. Fred's face turned pale instantly. This is. Even now, you're going to deny the affair? I'm sorry. So, you admit to the affair? Yes. We'll need you to take responsibility, which means you'll have to pay compensation. Then, we discussed the compensation. Fred agreed to give up the house, half of his assets, and pay child support for our daughters. Since this house is mine now, you need to leave immediately. Fred, looking displeased, gathered his belongings. I'd rather leave than be with you all. I'll live with my mistress. With those parting words, Fred left the house. After that, I quit my job and found a new one, to eliminate any connection with Fred. Then, I sold the house and moved back to my parents' home. Living at my parents', I balanced work and childcare with their help. The daughters, who love their grandparents, seemed happy to spend time at their grandparents' house. About a month later, one day, I went to pick up my daughters from kindergarten. Both of them were excitedly talking about what happened at kindergarten. Mom, I need to go to the bathroom. Me too. I took them to the public restroom at the nearby park. While waiting for their return, someone tapped me on the shoulder. Turning around, I was faced with a completely changed Fred. He had grown a beard, and his hair was unkempt. Fred, why are you here? And what are you doing? Because of you, I was fired from the company. What are you going to do about that? Huh? That's not my problem. According to Fred, his mistress was extravagant with money, and he had a hard time managing finances. Lacking money, Fred was persuaded by his mistress to embezzle company funds, which was discovered by my father-in-law, resulting in his dismissal. Furthermore, my former father-in-law's company sales plummeted, and they struggled with financial management. The trouble with Dad's company is because your parents terminated the contract. Indeed, my father, who runs his own company, had a business partnership with my former father-in-law's company. Following my divorce, my father thoroughly re-examined the former father-in-law's company, found suspicious transactions, and decided to end the partnership. And I heard from my father that my former father-in-law was planning to close his company. Is he trying to blame me for that? Because of you, my life is in ruins now. Due to his mistress, Fred couldn't pay rent and now lives at his parents' home. Naturally, he is constantly monitored by my former mother-in-law and lectured daily. His mistress continually blames him, asking why they have to live like this when she was supposed to become a president's wife. I've finally realized that I was happy because you were there. Please, can we start over? Of course, I refused. Then, Emma and Aaron returned from the bathroom. Emma, Aaron. It's been a while. Dad? Why are you here? Aaron, he's not our dad anymore. Because he married someone else. Oh, so we shouldn't be with Dad anymore? Yeah, let's go home, Mom. Emma, Aaron, wait. I had already informed Emma and Aaron about the divorce, and upon Emma's inquiry, I explained the reasons for the divorce as best as I could. As a result, Emma quickly grew to dislike Fred. "Oh, there you are, Fred. We thought you sneaked out to see Gina." "Dad, Mom. You're already causing enough trouble at home, don't bother us any further." Then my former in-laws started lecturing him. My daughters and I just stood there watching them, dumbfounded. "Gina, I'm sorry. We'll make sure Fred doesn't bother you anymore." After that, I no longer had any contact with Fred. My former father-in-law's company went bankrupt, and Fred and my former in-laws earned a bad reputation within the industry. Forced into a life of part-time jobs, Fred and my former in-laws are reaping what they sowed. While I have no sympathy for them, I'm currently learning business management from my father. "Mom, I'm home. Welcome back." Emma has entered elementary school and is enjoying her new school life. I hope to continue living a happy life with my daughters, cherishing every day.